Eso significa, para terminar, que lo viejo y lo nuevo todavía en un periodo como este coexisten. El viejo sistema de salud, con algunas muestras evidentes de sus resultados y de su incapacidad, y el nuevo sistema de salud que avanza a través de una práctica como la que acabo de señalar.
My name is Brian Davis, and as Interim Director, it is my distinct pleasure to welcome you to International House and to the campus of the University of Chicago for tonight's discussion. For some, this may be your first time at International House, the first, I hope, of many, many visits. International House is truly a special place. We are a residence hall and much more. We're a meeting place for discussion and debate on issues of importance for our campus, our city, and our world. Our mission is to promote cross-cultural understanding, mutual respect, and friendship among students and scholars, and on behalf of the people of metropolitan Chicago, toward individuals of all nations and backgrounds. In recognition of the importance of this mission, I am pleased to inform you tonight that we are in the midst of a $23 million capital renovation made possible by the University of Chicago. Now, fortunately, none of the contractors are here with us this evening. This renovation, when completed, will ensure that International House continues as a campus, a community, and a global resource for decades to come. I am so pleased that you could join us tonight, and I trust you're looking forward to hearing from our distinguished guests and panelists as much as I am. Again, welcome to International House.
Good evening. On behalf of the Center for Latin American Studies and on behalf of the Director of the Center for Latin American Studies, Dane Borges, who apologized for not being able to be here this evening, we're glad that you could come to this Latin American Briefies, one of a series of briefings that we hold throughout the year that deal with current events in Latin America. Before we begin, I just have a few comments of thank you. I want to thank the International House for co-sponsoring this event with us. I also want to thank the Center for Policy Practice at the Harris School of Public Policy Studies for co-sponsoring this event. But I particularly want to thank the Consul General of Venezuela for bringing this opportunity and suggesting this event for one of our International House Latin American briefings. So I am going to turn the floor over to Martin Sanchez, the Consul General de Venezuela, and he will introduce our speakers, who will be talking about the proposed social charter of the Americas.
Well, thank you very much, and I'll be the only speaker who will speak in English. Our guest will speak in Spanish with the interpreter. And on behalf of the government of Venezuela, and specifically on behalf of the Consulate of Venezuela in Chicago, I want to thank you all for being here, and I want to thank the University of Chicago as a whole also for hosting the event. In a continent in which, according to a recent survey, 72% of people would choose to live under dictatorship as long as they can meet their basic needs of food and healthcare and education, it is important to address the issue of poverty if we want to promote and strengthen democracy in the hemisphere. Our speakers will be Ambassador Nelson Pineda, which is the Venezuelan ambassador, the alternate Venezuelan ambassador to the Organization of American States, which is the body to which the government of Venezuela submitted the proposal for the social charter of the Americas. And Mr. Pineda is a historian and a history professor at the University of Los Andes in Venezuela. And we have also Dr. Fermín Toro, which is the Venezuelan ambassador to the United Nations, who will be also speaking about human rights. So without any more delays, I will turn the floor to our guest.
Expresar el agradecimiento que tiene el gobierno de Venezuela esta invitación que nos ha hecho la Universidad de Chicago, la tan famosa y reconocida mundialmente Universidad de Chicago, por permitirnos presentar esta noche a dos funcionarios del gobierno venezolano, el doctor Fermín Toro y quien les habla, algunas de las iniciativas y propuestas que estamos implementando.
Allow me to express our sincere thanks from the Venezuelan government for the invitation of the University of Chicago, the world-recognized and famous University of Chicago, that with this invitation allows us to present two officials of the Venezuelan government, as well as some of the proposals that we are bringing tonight.
A mí me corresponde exponer en ese sentido el tema referido a la Carta Social de las Américas.
It corresponds to me to speak about with the subject of the Charter for Social, the Social Charter for the Americas.
Y la primera pregunta que surge en ese sentido está referida al hecho mismo de por qué es necesaria la elaboración de una Carta Social para las Américas. Si existe la Carta de la OEA, que tiene una data del año 1948, y existe la Carta Democrática Interamericana, aprobada en el año 2001, y existen un conjunto de resoluciones aprobadas por asambleas generales de la OEA y por otros organismos de esta institución que refieren el tema de la pobreza.
The first question would be to refer to why is it necessary to have a social charter for the Americas, since there exists the Charter of the Organization of the American States from 1948, as well as it exists the Charter for Democracy of 2001, as well as a number of other plans from the Organization of American States that speak about poverty.
En ese sentido, voy a permitirme dar respuesta a esa interrogante a través de las siguientes reflexiones. La Carta Social de las Américas constituye para los países del hemisferio una necesidad. Esta tiene que ser un instrumento fundamental para enfrentar la pobreza, la inequidad y la exclusión social. Falencias estas que han generado unas muy marcadas desigualdades e injusticias sociales. Es por ello que la Carta Social de las Américas, emanada de la OEA, debe constituir un instrumento en el cual se establezcan las directrices fundamentales que guíen a los países del hemisferio hacia la búsqueda de la senda que los lleve a superarlas.
In that sense, I'll take the opportunity to express first the Charter of the Social Charter of the Americas. Its answer satisfies a need that the states, Latin America, have to overcome poverty and as well as inequality and social exclusions. There are very marked injustices, and the Social Charter of the Americas of the Organization of the American States should constitute itself as an instrument to give directions so that the countries of Latin America find their way towards a place where they can start overcoming poverty.
La pobreza como tema es el problema de este tiempo y para este tiempo que tenemos los países del hemisferio. La pobreza, en ese sentido lo decimos de la manera más clara, constituye en este momento en la más grave amenaza que tiene el sistema democrático en el hemisferio.
Poverty as a subject, as a theme, is equals the problem for this time and of this time. Poverty, and we say it as clearly as possible, is a threat, is the threat for democracy in our hemisphere.
En ese sentido, los datos estadísticos que nos han aportado instituciones como la Comisión Económica para América Latina y el Caribe, CEPAL, el Banco Interamericano de Desarrollo, BID, el Programa de las Naciones Unidas para el Desarrollo, PNUD, son bien reveladoras. Son bien reveladoras. Al uno leer las estadísticas de estas instituciones, constata que el elemento más caracterizador del hemisferio es la pobreza. Cerca de 280 millones de habitantes del hemisferio americano viven en condiciones de pobreza.
In this sense, statistics from organizations like CEPAL, the the Bank for Inter-American Development, the PNUD, which is a program of the United Nations for democracy. All these statistics of these and other institutions reveal that the poverty is what characterizes the situation of 280 million inhabitants of Latin America.
En ese sentido, yo me voy a permitir citar el último informe presentado por el Programa de las Naciones Unidas para el Desarrollo del año 2004, en el cual se lee lo siguiente. El desarrollo de la democracia depende, o en el cual se afirma, mejor dicho, lo siguiente. El desarrollo de la democracia depende, en el hemisferio, de que se amplíe de manera decidida la ciudadanía social, sobre todo a partir de la lucha contra la pobreza y la desigualdad y de la creación de empleo de buena calidad. Solo si se reduce la desigualdad se podrá disminuir la pobreza sosteniblemente y mejorar las posibilidades de crecimiento económico en los países nuestros.
In that sense, allow me to quote from the last report of 2004 from the Program of the United Nations for Democracy. The development of democracy depends on the ability to widen in this hemisphere, the social conditions, the fight against poverty, inequality, and for a just or a good employment of good quality to reduce inequality is the only chance, the only possibility for growth on our countries.
No basta entonces con seguir enunciando que la pobreza sea un problema. Ha llegado la hora entonces en los países del hemisferio de enfrentarla con hechos.
Therefore, it's not enough to to mention, just to mention that poverty is a problem in our countries. Now is the time to confront it.
En ese sentido, en Venezuela, y voy a referirme al caso venezolano,
In this sense, in Venezuela, and I'm going to refer myself to the case of Venezuela,
Venezuela transita por un proceso de transformación revolucionario pacífico y democrático.
Venezuela is going through a revolutionary process, pacific and democratic.
Proceso que ha venido desarrollándose a partir de la edificación de un control democrático de los instrumentos del poder y la construcción de un nuevo bloque de fuerzas sociales, políticas e institucionales.
This process is developing after the democratic control of power and by the means of a new block of social, political, and I lost the last, and institutions. Thank you.
En lo social, avanzamos en el objetivo de lograr un relacionamiento balanceado entre el interés individual y el interés social.
In this social arena, we advance with the objective of having balance between the individual and the social interests.
En lo político, estamos logrando la solución pacífica y civilizada de los conflictos de interés. Garantizamos el respeto pleno al derecho de los ciudadanos.
In the political arena, we are pacifically and in a civilized way addressing the conflicts and towards respect for social respect.
Principios estos que tienen su base de sustentación en la Constitución bolivariana aprobada mediante referéndum en el año 1999.
These principles have their basis of sustenance in the Bolivarian Constitution of 1999.
A partir de allí, y teniendo presente la necesidad de devolverle al venezolano su dignidad humana,
After that point, and having present the need for the Venezuelan people to have human dignity,
convencidos de que una verdadera democracia trasciende los marcos de lo político, es por lo que edificamos un modelo de desarrollo en donde prevalece la justicia social.
we are convinced, after that, that true democracy should go beyond politics, and we go through a model of development that addresses social justice.
Construimos de tal manera una democracia con sentido humano.
And this is how we construct democracy with a human heart, touch.
Es en ese marco de ideas que estamos desarrollando las misiones sociales en nuestro país.
In this framework of ideological framework is that we are developing the social missions in our country.
En ese sentido, tenemos el Plan Bolívar 2000, referido al derecho a la salud, a la vivienda y el trabajo,
In this sense, we are referring to the Plan Bolívar 2000 that concerns about health care, housing, and jobs.
la misión Barrio Adentro, referida al derecho de la salud, de manera integral y universal para todos los venezolanos.
The mission Barrio Adentro that refers to the issue of healthcare will be for universal healthcare for everyone.
Para garantizarle a los venezolanos el suministro de alimentos seguros y a bajo costo, implementamos la misión de mercado de alimentos, y la misión CASA, la Corporación de Abastecimiento y Servicios Agrícolas.
To guarantee food, we have the mission for food and to looking for safe and low cost food, and this is the mission for food, and also CASA, CASA, an organization of agriculture.
Con miras a capacitar y educar a la población venezolana, creamos las misiones educativas, entre las cuales debemos destacar la misión Robinson, que es para la alfabetización, la misión Rivas, para jóvenes que no pudieron concluir el bachillerato, la misión Sucre, para estudiantes que no han logrado concluir sus estudios universitarios, y la misión Vuelvan Caras, que es una misión especial a través de la cual estamos formando al ciudadano y al habitante venezolano en el sentido de vivir en comunidad, en la constitución de asociaciones cooperativas a través de pequeñas y medianas empresas.
With a target to allow the training and education for the Venezuelan people, we have the educational missions, and I'm going to list some of them, starting with the mission Robinson for alphabetization, mission Rivas for youth that did not end secondary school, mission Sucre for students that didn't finish their college or university studies, mission, and this is a special mission, Caras, that is dedicated to form in the people a sense of how to live in community and how to produce in cooperatives and small and medium-sized enterprises or corporations.
Le hemos devuelto al niño y al adolescente todos sus derechos a través de una misión especial del Consejo Nacional de los Derechos del Niño y del Adolescente.
We have give back to the children and the teenagers all the rights to through the National Council for Children.
A través del Instituto Nacional de la Mujer le hemos devuelto a las mujeres todos sus derechos.
With the National Institute for Women, we have give back to women all the rights.
Y a una población, a un sector de la población que había sido abandonado por siempre, como es los pueblos indígenas, les hemos devuelto su condición de connacionales.
And to a very abandoned sector of the population, the indigenous population, we have give them back their condition to be connacionales, equal nationals, equal citizens.
Como puede verse, por proponernos construir una sociedad más justa, equitativa y humana,
As you can see, in order to dedicate ourselves to the construction of a just and equitative and more humane society,
por este propósito fue que los sectores más reaccionarios y antidemocráticos dieron el golpe de Estado del 11 de abril del año 2002
because of this proposition, is that the sectors, the more reactionary and anti-democratic sectors, carried out a coup d'etat of April 11, 2000.
convocaron sucesivas e ilegales huelgas durante el año 2002 y 2003
They carry out in a sequence of strikes in the years of 2000 and 2003, illegal strikes.
y convocaron el sabotaje de la industria petrolera, lo cual constituyó un golpe criminal para la economía venezolana.
They also convoked to the sabotage of the oil industry in Venezuela, which was a criminal strike against the Venezuelan society.
Sin embargo, el pueblo venezolano,
Nevertheless, the Venezuelan people,
que ahora es actor fundamental en la vida política del país,
who is now a fundamental actor, a basic actor in the life of the country,
restituyó el 13 de abril del 2002 al presidente Chávez en sus funciones de primer mandatario,
it reinstituted the Presidente Chávez on April 13th of 2002.
y el pasado 15 de agosto, con motivo de la realización del referéndum revocatorio,
And on August 15th, 2004, through the referendum revocatorio, is one of the referendums in Venezuela, allowed by the Constitution,
respaldándolo con un 60% de los resultados,
with this referendum, the people gave their backing in a 60% approval,
lo cual lo convierte en el presidente constitucional del hemisferio americano, de los 34 países que conforman el hemisferio americano, en el presidente de más alta aceptación del pueblo.
And with this, it converted President Chavez in the president among the 34 countries in America that has the highest popular approval.
Thank you very much.
Muy buenas noches a todos.
Good evening, everyone.
Quiero dar las gracias al departamento o centro, no sé cómo se llama exactamente, centro, ¿no?, de estudios latinoamericanos de la Universidad de Chicago.
My thanks to the Center for Latin American Studies of the University of Chicago.
Como profesor universitario, me siento honrado, profesor profesor universitario venezolano. Me siento honrado de estar aquí hoy compartiendo con ustedes algunas ideas a las cuales me voy a referir sobre los derechos humanos y las relaciones internacionales, con especial referencia a mi país, Venezuela.
I feel very honored as a professor to be here today and express some ideas that will be about human rights and international relations of Venezuela.
Sabemos que la sociedad internacional se ha venido transformando en el curso del siglo XX, lentamente, pero inexorablemente, en una comunidad internacional.
We know that international society has suffered a transformation all through the 20th century. Slow, but inexorably towards international society.
No, it has been transformed
Transformed.
from a society into a community, international community.
Sorry.
That's the difference. Sabemos también que esto se debe a que la sociedad internacional tiene en su agenda cada vez más nutrida problemas que atañen a todos los seres humanos independientemente de la nacionalidad que tienen.
We know that due to the fact that the international society has a growing agenda filled with problems that concern all human beings independently of their nationality.
Dentro de los asuntos o problemas fundamentales de la agenda internacional, de la agenda internacional presente, sabemos que los derechos humanos constituyen un tema principal.
Within the international agenda in the present, we know that human rights constitute the principal, one of the principal themes.
Existen hoy día en el sistema internacional dos concepciones de los derechos humanos, totalmente diferentes.
There exists today in the international system two conceptions of human rights, which are totally different.
La primera de ellas, que tiene un profundo sentido humanitario, plantea la necesidad de la protección y promoción de los derechos humanos en beneficio de aquellos habitantes del planeta que sufren y padecen por la violación de sus derechos.
The first one has a profound humanitarian basis. It proposes the need to protect and promote the human rights to the benefit of those that suffer from the lack of human rights.
Existe otra concepción de los derechos humanos que constituye simplemente un pretexto que utilizan los estados más poderosos del planeta para intervenir en los asuntos internos de los estados más débiles para presionarlos y obligarlos y negarles el derecho a la autodeterminación.
There is another conception of human rights that is constituted simply as a pretext that the more powerful states utilize to intervene in the internal affairs of those states that are weaker, and to pressure them and to force them to give up their principle of self-determination.
El proceso revolucionario que hoy vive el pueblo venezolano y su dirigencia política se inscribe dentro de la primera de las dos concepciones sobre los derechos humanos que acabamos de mencionar.
The revolutionary process that in Venezuela lives today, and through its political leadership, we subscribe to the first of the two conceptions for human rights.
La razón de existir de este proceso de cambio profundo que estamos viviendo en Venezuela constituye precisamente la realización sin exclusiones de los derechos humanos en nuestro país y en el sistema internacional.
The reason for existence of this process of profound changes in Venezuela is that we realize that without exception, the human rights should be vindicated in Venezuela and elsewhere in the international system.
El tema de los de la protección y promoción de los derechos humanos en Venezuela es una bandera principal enarbolada en la Constitución.
The theme of the protection and promotion of human rights in Venezuela, it's one of the symbols, principal symbols that are that flow from the Constitution.
Es la más moderna del mundo en materia de derechos humanos en este momento.
It is the most modern in the world in as human rights is concerned.
Además de contener el más extenso repertorio conocido de estos derechos humanos, el más extenso catálogo de estos, les atribuye naturaleza y rango constitucional.
In addition to contain an extensive repertoire or catalog of human rights, it also gives them a national and constitutional ranking.
La breve historia todavía de la realización de los derechos humanos en Venezuela bajo la Constitución de 1999 tiene como punto de partida la decisión irrevocable de la Fuerza Armada de la República de renunciar a la represión como política de Estado.
the still brief history of the realization of under the Constitution of 1999, it starts from the decision of the armed forces to renounce to the politics of repression as politics of state politics.
Esta decisión de renuncia a la represión del pueblo como política de Estado ha restituido al pueblo venezolano su condición humana, su dignidad y la aptitud para el disfrute pleno de los derechos fundamentales y con ello la plenitud de la ciudadanía.
This decision of renouncing armed repression as a politics of state policy has given back to the people of Venezuela their human condition and dignity and the
Citizenship.
Citizenship. It's to
A partir de esta premisa se ha desplegado en Venezuela el despliegue de las libertades de opinión, expresión del pensamiento, asociación y manifestación en una magnitud que no tiene antecedente en la historia política de nuestro país.
After these premises, we have seen an unfolding of freedom in the areas of freedom of expression, of association, of manifestation, in a magnitude that has no precedent in Venezuela, in the history of Venezuela.
Igualmente, a través de las misiones que ha desarrollado el gobierno nacional a partir del año 2000 y que continúa haciendo en el presente, se está haciendo posible que el 65% de la población venezolana pueda comenzar a ser incluida con derechos fundamentales, económicos y sociales.
Equally, and it is through the missions that the national government has been developing since the year 2000, and that it continues to develop to the present. It has been possible that 65% of the population in Venezuela can start to be included.
Las garantías de los derechos, de la protección de los derechos civiles y políticos,
Guaranteeing the protection of the civil rights and political rights
corresponde a un sistema judicial interno de protección de los derechos humanos que estamos construyendo paso a paso de manera firme y decidida.
the development of a judicial system that will address the issue of human rights is that we are constructing step by step, but without claudication.
La garantía de los derechos, del cumplimiento de los derechos económicos y sociales que son de titularidad colectiva,
The warranty of the economic and social rights that are collective in nature
está constituido básicamente, o están constituidos básicamente, por los mecanismos de participación popular, como son los referendos consultivos y revocatorios.
it's ensured through mechanisms of popular participation, like the referendums come from the Constitution. There are the two referendums are
Consultivos y revocatorios,
of consulting and to
entre otros.
recall.
Bueno. Finalmente quiero señalar que la República ha estado sometida sin cesar en los 3 últimos años a la acción de los órganos del Sistema Interamericano de Derechos Humanos, que han sido instrumentalizados políticamente como medios de intervención en nuestros asuntos internos, secundados además por organizaciones no gubernamentales que actúan de concierto con estos.
Finally, I want to bring up that that Venezuela has been with not let go sometido subject to the actions, uninterrupted actions through 3 years by some institutions of the international system for the defense of human rights, utilized in this case to interfere in the internal affairs of the country. And these organs or organizations had also been aided by ONGs that had acted in concert with the ones I mentioned.
Quienes presiden en líneas generales estos órganos del sistema interamericano pretenden que dicho sistema tiene carácter supranacional.
Those that are in the leadership of this system pretend that this system will have a character of supranational character, a character over the states or nations.
Lo que contradice la propia Convención de San José, la Carta de la Organización de Estados Americanos y la Carta de la Organización de Naciones Unidas.
Which contradicts the Charter of San Jose, the Charter of the Organization of the American States, and the Charter of the United Nations themselves.
Pero también contradice a nuestra Constitución, que expresamente considera en su normativa interna que los tratados, pactos y convenciones sobre derechos humanos solo tienen jerarquía constitucional en determinadas condiciones. Artículo 23 de la Constitución. Y en segundo lugar, que el único caso, la única hipótesis en que Venezuela puede aceptar órganos supranacionales, o sea, órganos internacionales supranacionales, es en el supuesto de que se trate de órganos de integración, lo cual está reducido o limitado a la integración latinoamericana.
But it also contradicts our Constitution that expresses and it considers that with respect to treaties of human rights, it would only be constitutional under conditions expressed in the Article 23, and the only case in which, or the only hypothesis under which the international intervention in the realm of human rights will be accepted is in the case of
Integration.
organization, which is also reduced to Latin American states.
Thank you very much. Gracias.
Before I allow any question, I have some few words to say of my own. My name is Alicia Menendez. I'm a local. I'm an economist at the Harris School of Public Policy. And as such, that's my concern. So I'm going to take a few minutes to evaluate what the government of Venezuela has proposed as the social charter for the Americas. And I'm going to look at this very briefly in a few minutes from a Latin American perspective. I think pretty much everybody would agree that the levels of poverty and inequality in Latin America are unacceptable. They have been for a long time, and we should do something about that. Pretty much everybody would agree that to increase the well-being of the population, work on education, health, employment, good employment, housing, all those things are crucial to our development. And of course, to make democracies stronger. I absolutely agree with that too. However, I believe that in order to find solutions, we have to know where we are. And one of my concerns is to make an honest evaluation of where we are. Are we worse than we were in the 90s? Are we in our way to meet the UN Millennium Goals? Or, like in the document in the Social Charter for the Americans is suggested, we are going backwards? And the answer to this is, well, it depends. There are good news and bad news. Good news: life expectancy, child mortality, literacy rates, they have all improved in the last 15 years in Latin America. If you look at the level of education of the youth, those that are between 15 and 25 years old, the level of education has increased in every single country in Latin America. In some places, much less than I would like to, not at a satisfactory level, but the direction is the right one. There are other good things. The public budget for social issues increased in almost every country as a percentage of the GDP and also as a percentage of the total budget, particularly for education and health, which tends to redistribute income much more than some other social issues. After a horrible 10 years during the 80s with the debt crisis, we are finally, during the 90s, seeing that poverty goes down in Latin America as a whole. There are different paths. If you look at Chile, by year 2000, they managed to have a percentage of the population below the poverty line that is half what they used to have in 1990. Pretty good, I would say. Some other countries have improved, Honduras, for example, but very little. And notable exceptions. My home country, Argentina, one of them, Venezuela, another, have managed to increase since the 90s the level of poverty to outrageous levels of poverty, from high ones to very, very scary high ones. Why I'm taking these few minutes to say this? Well, I think that we have been through these cycles of everything is wrong, let's do everything different, on and off, many, many times. And I think that doesn't work. We have to admit that doesn't work. And we should be honest and open-minded and try to think what works and what doesn't, if we really care about the population that is in poverty, inequality, and all the other things that we have to address. How does the Social Charter for the Americas propose to address poverty? Well, I hope you have read the document. The document lists a very extensive list of rights that go from very general things like the right to life to good housing, good employment, and cultural issues. I only have a few minutes, so obviously I'm not going to go one by one. Let's assume, like we economists like to assume things. So let me assume for a moment that we are all in agreement, and all these goals that are listed are good goals, are desirable goals, and they are good things to wish for, to work for. And many make my own list, so I sort of would tend to agree with at least part of them. How the document proposes to achieve these goals? Well, what basically is in this document, what the strategy is that the Americas, the states of the Americas countries are going to provide. And suppose again for a moment that we are okay with the states providing the good employment, the health, the education, the pension, the cultural goods. The question is, can the states do this? And I don't want to be the one that brings the bad news, but no, the answer is no, the states cannot do this. And we learned this the hard way. Even richer countries nowadays cannot do this. So I get concerned about this because I don't see how to go ahead. At this point, I'm convinced that the governments cannot buy the way out of poverty. We try. And because we try so many times doing it this way, is that now we cannot fail anymore. I think previous charters acknowledge this. The Declaration of Nuevo León talks about sound macroeconomic policies. What words they use? Prudent monetary and fiscal. And this is very general. What is sound macroeconomic policy? What is prudent monetary and fiscal policy? But the aim is, well, you know, we cannot spend like it is Christmas anymore, because it's not. It's not going to happen, and we have to set conditions for growth that is able to be sustained. We have to go to some basics like rule of law back. And we have to acknowledge that we are working in an international world. We are integrated, like it or not. Even if you don't have an agreement, the world works in a different way than they used to. We need to decide on priorities. And what I'm talking about is we have a lot of needs, we don't have that many resources, we have to invest in those projects that are going to bring the highest social benefits. And not all countries in Latin America are at the same level of development, and not all countries are going to have the same set of priorities. And I'm going to pick on one case, education. And I'm going to choose education exactly because education is hard to be, who is against education? I mean, like, it's a goal, we know it's the way out of poverty, it's very clear, right? So one of the proposals in the document is to give free education to the citizens and education at all levels, and in many cases that is probably very good. But there are some cases where this is not a good idea. Education, free education at the university level in many countries means sending resources to the rich. That does not help the poor. That's the case of Argentina and the largest university in the country, the University of Buenos Aires, which is free for all, that can reach the university. And the studies show that it's a subsidy to the richer kids. The poor kids do not finish high school. If we are going to have strategies to help the poor, we have to be very careful which ones are. This doesn't mean that in other countries maybe that's the strategy. It could well be the best thing that we can do in El Salvador. But a point I'm trying to make here is how choosy I want to be about the projects. I want to target, I want priorities, because I cannot afford doing everything. Not at the state that most of the states in Latin America are now. In my opinion, general statements do not translate well in public policy. I think that fiscal deficits have created inflation and high debt, and I want to remind you that the ones that pay the hardest for it are the poor. Is a pro-poor policy to have serious fiscal policies in these countries, and we have to work with this constraint. That is what I'm trying to say. We need selectivity and we need targeting. And I don't want to take much more time than this. So with that said, I'm going to open to questions that we are going to be very organized about. So we can start there. Please tell us who are you addressing the question to. And
Spanish, and I'll say them in English.
sure.
Buenas tardes, bienvenidos todos. Ha sido un placer escucharles y no sé si entendieron lo que ella ha estado comentando, que a fin de cuentas ella opina que no se puede llevar a cabo políticas sociales que mejoran la situación de los pobres sin castigar a toda la sociedad, más bien.
Well, no, I didn't say that.
But in essence, I mean, I'm not going to go through the 10 minutes that you said, but you sort of were saying that. So anyway, my question is, what were the measurements of poverty in both of the countries? Are we using nutrition? Are we using UN poverty statistics? Are we using World Bank statistics? How are we measuring poverty in 1990? And since we have a new government in Venezuela, it's very probable that the measurements that they're making are quite different nowadays. Lo que le he dicho es que ella no está de acuerdo con lo que yo interpreté, pero lo resumí lo que ella está diciendo. Y he opinado que a lo mejor como ella dice que ha subido la tasa de pobreza en Venezuela, en Argentina, entre otros países en Latinoamérica, yo preguntaba si a lo mejor no están haciendo una comparación entre dos cosas, naranjas y manzanas, ¿no? Si a lo mejor, como Chávez ha llegado al poder, se está midiendo otra cosa, se están contando personas que antes no estaban contadas, a lo mejor. Entonces, pues a lo mejor ustedes los dos venezolanos pueden hablar sobre el nivel de pobreza, cómo se mide la pobreza y cómo se ha mejorado la situación ciudadana en los entornos y en situación, por ejemplo, de agua potable y acceso de vida, todas esas cuestiones básicas de la vida que se proponen en Australia.
So what you, let me start telling you from where is the data that compares 90 with 2000. All the data that I'm using is data that comes from CEPAL. It's exactly using the same kind of consistent data. So it depends on the poverty level, las líneas de pobreza de cada país, pero es consistente desde los años 90 hasta es una serie y es técnicamente elaborada, no tiene nada que ver con quién sea el presidente.
Like for example, just now, manufacturing includes architects and the people who prepare coffee at Starbucks. The U.S. government has changed that. So if you make a comparison from 2004 to 2000 in manufacturing, it looks like there's been an increase, but there hasn't.
Right.
So sometimes there are changes in terms of what, science isn't pure. We all come at science with our frameworks.
These figures that I was giving you are consistent and are not mine, are elaborated by CEPAL. And you can use different, as I was saying before, different kind of measurements. You can check in terms of income if people are poor or not. And you can also check in terms of the other things that I was mentioning, like mortality rates for under 5, literacy, years of education, etc. I don't know, in the particular cases the ambassadors were talking about, they were talking about particular programs, and perhaps they can explain you better.
Hay una verdad en este momento que es inocultable.
There is a truth that cannot be hidden.
No existe en el hemisferio un solo país en donde la pobreza no haya crecido.
There exists not a single country in this hemisphere in which poverty has not increased.
Ni siquiera puede ser excluido Canadá o los Estados Unidos.
We can't even exclude in this Canada or the United States.
Recientemente, 3 años atrás, Vivian Forrester publicó un libro que se llamó El horror económico.
Recently, 3 years ago, William Forrester published a book called The Economic Horror.
El horror económico. En donde demostraba cómo en los países del G7
in it, he proves how is it that in the countries of the G7
existían aproximadamente 17 millones de desempleados. Millones.
There exist approximately 17 million unemployed.
Y como todos sabemos, el desempleo es la causa originaria de la pobreza.
And like we all know, unemployment is the cause of poverty, primary cause, starting cause.
Bernardo Klinsberg, que es asesor del Banco Interamericano de Desarrollo,
Bernardo Klinsberg, assessor to the Inter-American Bank of Development,
en un seminario realizado en el año 2002 en Washington,
during a conference, a seminar in 2002 in Washington,
nos decía lo siguiente: el 36% de los niños menores de 2 años en el hemisferio padecen de desnutrición.
menores de 12.
Menores de 2
Dos.
años.
36% of children under 2 years old are undernourished in the hemisphere.
La desocupación juvenil duplica la desocupación general.
Unemployment among the youth is twice as general unemployment.
Y lo más revelador de ello es que nos decía que en el hemisferio el 5% más rico de la población
And he says, and this is the most revealing of all, he says that in the hemisphere, 5% of the richest people in the population
se apropiaba o se apropia del 26% de la riqueza nacional.
appropriates 26% of wealth of the nations.
Mientras que el 30% más pobre de esa población
Meanwhile, the 30% of the poorest of that population
se apropia solo del 7.5% de esa riqueza nacional.
appropriates only 7.5% of the wealth of that national wealth.
El Banco Mundial en sus estudios sobre la pobreza y el desarrollo humano
The World Bank, in its studies about poverty and human development,
ha establecido algunos indicadores para medir la pobreza.
has established some indicators, measurements to measure poverty.
Ha dicho el Banco Mundial que quienes tengan un ingreso menor a $2 diarios viven en pobreza.
World Bank has said that those that earn less than $2 a day live under the poverty level.
Ha dicho asimismo que quienes devenguen menos de $1 diario viven en pobreza extrema.
It had also said that those that live with less than $1 a day live under extreme poverty.
Y la CEPAL, en un estudio del año 2003,
As well, CEPAL, in a study in 2003,
nos señaló que la pobreza en el año 2002 se había disminuido en el hemisferio de un 48.3% a un 42%.
It said that poverty in 2002 had gone down from 48.3% to 42%,
Mientras que la pobreza extrema para ese mismo periodo
Meanwhile, extreme poverty for the same period
se había disminuido de un 22.6%
had gone down. Extreme poverty, meanwhile, had gone down from a 22.6%
a un 17.8%.
to a 17.8%.
Estos indicadores nos permiten afirmar
These indicators allow us to say
que es posible derrotar la pobreza.
that it is possible to defeat poverty.
que no se trata de empobrecer a quienes hoy son ricos,
The issue is not to make the now rich, to make them poor,
sino de darle la posibilidad de vivir satisfaciendo sus necesidades materiales a quienes hoy no las tienen.
but to allow to live and to give them to those that do not have the basic material necessities to satisfy it.
La importancia que tiene el proceso de transformación que vive Venezuela
The importance of the process of transformation that Venezuela is going through
reside en que logramos entender
is that we were able to understand
que al igual que todas las reformas que se nos propusieron,
that just as all the reforms that were proposed to us,
desde las célebres tesis de la CEPAL de los años 50,
starting from the proposals, very well-known proposals from CEPAL of the 1950s,
del desarrollo por sustitución de las importaciones,
of development through
hasta las políticas de ajuste consagradas en el Consenso de Washington,
all the way to the policies of adjustment in the consensus of Washington,
fueron erróneas, fueron equivocadas, fueron inaplicables.
they were erroneous, mistaken,
Y lo fueron porque no se correspondían con la realidad histórica de nuestros países.
and they were because they did not correspond with the historical reality of our countries.
Por ello entendimos que lo planteado hoy, más que reformas, es la transformación de nuestras formaciones sociales.
So we understand that with what we
Termino con eso.
proposed or said today is more than some reforms, social transformations.
Por ello, nosotros estamos transitando de una sociedad rentística basada en la renta petrolera
For this reason, we are transiting or going from a society that is rentistic, probably, that is depending on oil revenues,
a una sociedad productiva.
to a productive society.
Mr. Nelson Pineda assures that the pacific and democratic revolution that is taking place in Venezuela gives its citizens all its rights. These rights are granted in the 1999 Constitution made by the government of Chavez. In Article 83 of this Constitution that you can see because they gave it out, establishes that the Venezuelan state should guarantee health care for all its citizens. However, public hospitals in Venezuela do not even have minimum medical supplies care of its patients. The truth is that Venezuelans without private insurance, that is more than 80% of the population, do not have any access to health care at all. So I wonder what type of rights is Mr. Pineda talking about. I'll say that in Spanish. El señor Nelson Pineda asegura que la revolución pacífica y democrática que está tomando lugar en Venezuela le asegura a los venezolanos todos sus derechos. Estos derechos están sustentados en la Constitución bolivariana desarrollada por el gobierno de Chávez. En el artículo 83 de esta Constitución, la cual los invitados repartieron, establece que el Estado venezolano debe garantizar la salud a todos sus habitantes. Sin embargo, en Venezuela los hospitales públicos no tienen ni siquiera los mínimos insumos básicos como alcohol y antibióticos para atender a los pacientes. La verdad es que los venezolanos que no tienen seguro médico, que es más del 80% de la población, no tienen acceso a la salud. ¿De qué derechos entonces habla el señor Pineda?
Cortito.
Muy breve, muy breve. Los venezolanos no tenían derecho a la salud. Este dato que es bien revelador. En los barrios de Caracas, la principal ciudad del país, se hizo un estudio por Fundacredesa, que era una organización social que tiene una data de más de 30 años funcionando en Venezuela, o sea que no es del gobierno de Chávez.
Very brief. In Venezuela, the population did not have the right to health care. Data that is very revealing is that produced by a study from Fundacredesa, an organization, social organization with more than 30 years in Venezuela that is not from the Chavez government. And the study studies neighborhoods in Caracas, the main city capital of Venezuela.
Decía el informe de Fundacredesa que los niños menores de 10 años de los barrios populares de Caracas
the informe from Credesa says that said that children less than 10 years old in the neighborhoods in Caracas
no habían recibido tratamiento médico ni siquiera en el momento de su nacimiento.
hadn't had any medical care, not even at birth.
Y fue a partir de la misión Barrio Adentro cuando comenzaron a conocer la existencia de médicos.
And it was only after the mission Barrio Adentro, Barrio is neighborhood, that they came to know what health care is.
En ese sentido, entonces, yo puedo decir que el drama de la salud en Venezuela
In this sense, is that I can say that the drama of healthcare in Venezuela
es un problema heredado
is a problem inherited
del régimen partidocrático
inherited from the partidocratic regime,
y que estamos empeñados en resolver.
and which we are really set to resolve.
I want to make a quick clarification of what the person who asked the question said, and that is that first of all, the Constitution was not made by Chavez or by the Chavez government. and this is a common theme that comes when talking about Venezuela, what you read in the media, such as an editorial that came out in Chicago newspaper last week. It was not drafted by Chavez. There was an elected body, which is a constituent assembly, in which the majority of the people, voted and elected of university professors, politicians, experts in constitutional right, to draft a constitution that was actually discussed in universities and forums all over, and then was put out for a vote, and 90% of people supported the Constitution. So there's a big difference between saying that Chavez wrote the Constitution, as you normally read in the media, and to actually know that it was widely discussed by the people. And with regard to the issue of poverty, this goes also to what do you do, as the professor was talking about. How do you allocate resources in a smart way where you are going to get returns? President Chavez saw that if he put the money in the old and corrupt and corroded healthcare system, if he just poured more money into those hospitals, that money was just going to dissolve, and it wasn't going to really address the people who needed healthcare the most, which are the majority of people who live in those shanty towns that you could see in Caracas and in other big cities. So the plan Barrio Dentro, deep inside the neighborhood, it was about setting up healthcare clinics in poor neighborhoods, the poorest neighborhoods, in which not even the police goes to. You have those shanty towns in Caracas in which you had to get there by 4x4. By 8 p.m., there is no public transportation to get up there. So if your child is sick and it's 9 p.m., you have to wait until the next day to go down to the city and look for either go to a hospital and have good luck with the public hospital system, which, as Ambassador Pineda was saying, we don't hide it. The system it's bad, but it's been inherited, through the previous government. So, the healthcare, and this goes to the issue of how we address, how do we measure poverty? How do you? Not even the pollsters, and not even the police can get to those shanty towns. How do you poll those people? How do you you wait for them to come down to the city? No, they live up there. There's no way for you to measure what the impact of these policies are having in those people, and that's why the Venezuelan government right now is trying to look for a consistent way to measure the impact that these programs are having in people. The government has another program, which is it's a network of distribution of food coming directly from the country into the cities, and distributed by people who live in their own neighborhoods. They have people with pickup trucks participate in this distribution of food to what they call there the popular markets. So how do you measure, what kind of impact is that having in those people if, for instance, the media is not interested in really, going there and seeing what's going on there. So, the Venezuelan government is trying to look for a way to measure the impact, and I hope that by next year they have a consistent way to measure, how people's lives have improved in those neighborhoods.
There was a question over there, but we have to be a little more ping pong with the questions here. So I'm going to ask those that ask the question to make it brief, and those that answer the question to try to do the same, please.
Yo quisiera agregar algo sobre esto de la salud pública que me parece bien importante, ¿no?
Okay.
Básico.
Brevemente.
Sí, voy a tratar de explicar en mis propias palabras un poco el problema que ha planteado la señorita que estaba aquí, que dejó el salón.
Que se ha retirado, así que...
Se ha retirado, sí.
Podríamos...
Pero creo que es importante. En Venezuela la salud pública, hasta el año 2003 aproximadamente, la salud pública se atendía a través de un sistema de seguridad social establecido conforme a una ley.
I want to address the issue of healthcare. Back to the question that was asked before. I want to say that in Venezuela, public health prior to 2003 was done through a system of social security that had been established by a law.
Pero este sistema, para el año 2003, había producido ya estos hechos a los cuales se refería la señorita que estuvo aquí presente hasta hace unos momentos. Es decir, hospitales en condiciones lamentables, incapaces incapaces de atender los problemas de salud pública de los venezolanos.
This system, by the year 2003, had produced precisely the facts that already by that year, the facts that the person that asked the question, which is no longer here, had produced of these hospitals in the poorest conditions and incapable, unable to attend the population.
Esta estructura tradicional que heredó este gobierno tenía dos vicios fundamentales que la hacían precisamente incapaz de atender el problema de la salud pública de los venezolanos.
This system had two vices that precisely made it incapable of addressing public health.
El primero es la corrupción generada por los partidos políticos que sustentaban el sistema.
The first is corruption generated by the political parties that sustained the system.
Esta corrupción significaba que el dinero público destinado a la salud a través del sistema iba a manos de médicos y funcionarios del Seguro Social de la institución y no alcanzaba prácticamente para atender las necesidades directas de la población venezolana.
This corruption meant that the public money allocated for public health was sent through the system to the hands of physicians and officials of the system itself, and then the money was not enough for what was meant.
Y segundo, el segundo elemento fundamental, aparte de otros, es que los médicos venezolanos habían sufrido y todavía sufren en gran medida de una concepción privatista o privatizada de la salud pública.
The second element, among others, is that fundamental element is that the physicians, doctors in Venezuela were suffering and today still suffer of a conception of privatization of public health.
Precisamente estos dos factores, entre otros, determinaron que el gobierno decidiera optar por una vía paralela, dejando a un lado el viejo sistema de seguridad pública.
And it's precisely because of this that the government in Venezuela decided to establish a parallel way, parallel manner system, and leaving aside the old system.
Para atender a la población excluida directamente en el lugar y en las condiciones en que vivían y en que viven.
And that was to bring the healthcare directly to the people that and to the place where those people live and need the.
Y a través de esta práctica creadora y revolucionaria se está creando un nuevo sistema de salud pública venezolana a cargo originalmente de médicos cubanos, pero además médicos que hoy día están entrenando a médicos venezolanos que están cambiando y transformando su mentalidad privada en mentalidad pública, conciencia pública.
Through this practice, revolutionary and creative practice, a new system has been established, a new health system has been established, and in the beginning was led by Cuban doctors, and who are now are training Venezuelan doctors, and the mentality of privatization of public health is also changing.
Esto significa, para terminar, que lo viejo y lo nuevo todavía en un periodo como este coexisten. El viejo sistema de salud con algunas muestras evidentes de sus resultados y de su incapacidad, y el nuevo sistema de salud que avanza a través de una práctica como la que acabo de señalar.
To end, so what we have is that there is a coexistence between the old system and the new system, and the old system is showing, it's still showing its consequences, and we have now a new system that is advancing just in the way that I described.
Okay, let's try again with your question, please.
Mr. Reyes said economic growth is going to be supported from the creation of jobs. How can you support this issue considering that over 30% of the private sector has closed or going into bankruptcy since the Chavez government? And the main question will be, does government plans to be the biggest employer of the Venezuelan population?
Who would like to? Can you translate back, or?
I can translate it.
Do you want to? Okay.
El señor Pineda mencionó que el crecimiento económico va a estar soportado a través de la creación de nuevos trabajos. ¿Cómo puede soportar esta consideración tomando en cuenta que el 30% del sector privado ha cerrado o ido a bancarrota durante el gobierno de Chávez? Y la primera pregunta sería, ¿el gobierno tiene dentro de sus planes ser el mayor empleador de la población venezolana?
La primera cosa que hay que decir
The first thing is
que el empresariado venezolano no ha quebrado.
is that the businessmen in Venezuela had not gone bankrupt.
La mejor demostración es que hace 10 días
The best proof of this is that 10 days ago
se produjo una reunión entre el directorio de Fede Cámaras
there was a meeting between the directors of Fede Cámaras
con el vicepresidente de la República
and the vice president of Venezuela
para sentar las nuevas bases de un relacionamiento entre el gobierno y los empresarios venezolanos.
to establish the new basis for getting closer between these businessmen and the government of Venezuela.
Lo que ocurre es que ahora la distribución del ingreso petrolero
What's happening is that now the distribution of the revenues from oil
tiene una orientación distinta.
has a different orientation.
Era una costumbre en mi país
In my country, there was a custom
que la renta petrolera tenía como destino inmediato
It was a custom that in Venezuela, the oil revenues had as an immediate destination
a favorecer a los sectores económicamente más poderosos del país.
It had a destination to favor the most powerful sectors of the country.
Conocidos son los casos de la Corporación Venezolana de Fomento,
Is very well known cases like the one of the Corporación Venezolana de Fomento,
del Fondo de Inversiones de Venezuela,
that of the Fondo de Inversiones de Venezuela,
del Fondo Industrial de Venezuela,
of the
del
Fondo Industrial Fondo Trust of Venezuela,
del Fondo de Inversiones Agrícolas,
Trust for Agricultural Investment,
del Banco de Desarrollo Agropecuario,
a bank for agricultural development,
del Banco de Fomento Regional,
the Bank of Regional Development,
instituciones a través de las cuales
and these are institutions through which
se daban créditos a los productores venezolanos
to which loan finance resources were given to the Venezuelan production.
capital que en vez de invertir
This is a capital that was invested, instead of being invested
en la redinamización de la economía nacional,
instead of investing in trying to make it the national economy more dynamic,
era utilizado
and it was utilized
para la importación
to imports
no solo de productos altamente industrializados, sino de materia prima.
to import not only very highly industrialized products, but also raw materials.
Venezuela, que por ser ribereño del Caribe,
Venezuela, for its position in the Caribe,
pertenece a lo que tradicionalmente se conoce como las naciones de la cultura del maíz,
it belongs to what is known as the nations of the culture of corn.
durante la década de los años 70
During the 70s,
tuvo que importar maíz
was forced to import corn,
lo cual constituye a todas luces una paradoja.
which was, no matter how you look at it, a paradox.
En este tiempo, en este momento,
Today, in this time, in this moment,
lo que le hemos dicho al empresariado venezolano
what we have told to the Venezuelan businessmen
es que el ingreso de la renta petrolera
is that the income product of the revenues of oil
no va a seguir teniendo el mismo destino.
is not going to have the same destination.
Queremos construir una economía productiva.
We want to construct a productive economy.
Estamos construyendo una economía productiva.
We are constructing a productive economy.
Y en ese sentido,
And it's in this sense
estamos activando a la pequeña y a la mediana empresa e industria de nuestro país.
is that we are activating small and medium-sized industry in our country.
Estamos refundando el sistema de cooperativas de producción en el país.
We are restructuring the system of cooperatives in the country.
Y durante la reunión que cité anteriormente,
And during that meeting that I mentioned before,
entre empresarios y gobierno venezolano,
the meeting between the businessmen and the government,
les dijimos a estos
we told the businessmen
que se acabaron los privilegios
that privileges are over
en la distribución de la riqueza nacional.
as far as
Es así, es por esta vía
this is through this means
que logramos superar el paro petrolero, que nos significó una pérdida de 17,000 millones de dólares.
that we were able to defeat the oil strike that signified a loss of $170 billion.
Y el éxito de esta decisión política
The success of this political decision
se constata en que, a pesar de la crisis vivida, no tuvimos que recurrir a financiamiento internacional.
that in spite of the crisis, we were not forced to go out to resort to international loans.
Unfortunately, we are running very, very late. So I'm going to have to invite you to keep on going with the conversation next door, where we're having our reception. I'm sure that you have many more questions and there are many more answers. Thank you very much for coming. It's a pleasure to have you here. And thank you very much to our guests.